Oh, hi, didn't see you there. I was just reading The Sweater Book, which is an absolute treasure trove of 80s design inspiration. So this book contains such hits as the snake sweater and is generally my authority on 80s knitwear design. It's got crazy shapes. It's got harlequin peplum jackets. It's got geometric bright colours in abundance. It's got belted patchwork jackets. If you are interested in sort of any form of vintage knitwear inspiration, I highly recommend you track down a copy of this on eBay or in a charity shop or wherever you can find it, because this is really the daddy of 80s design. But I'm here in this book for one pattern in particular that I've been wanting to knit for over a year now, and that is the Matisse sweater by Betty Barnden. And this is obviously a reference of the Henry Matisse cutout piece, but placed in intarsia on a kind of chunky, very simple kind of boxy sweater. So I'm gonna have a go at knitting this. Now, first things first, 80s knitwear patterns are not like the patterns we are used to today. This pattern is bare bones. You see this half a page that's half taken up by sleeve and picture? That is the entire pattern. That is everything I have to work with. There is 3 sizes, which look to be like a small, medium, and maybe a large. Like a very small large. Nobody had ever heard of size inclusivity or body positivity in the 80s. Yeah, we're looking at you know, about 8 centimeters between a small and a large, which is fantastic. Like, can you believe they got away with publishing stuff like this when knitwear designers these days are doing, you know, 9 sizes, 10 sizes as a standard? You know, I design everything in like an XS to a 5XL, and these people truly got a book published with, you know, a small to a large small. Yeah, we'll call it a large small. And yeah, there is, you know, bare bones kind of yarn advice. We've sort of got, you know, just yarn A, yarn B, yarn C, and just colours. There is no advice on like what brand to use, what type of yarn. There's just, you know, use a scrap of red for the red kind of heart here. Like, it's amazing. I just love how they truly did not care. They were just like, that's good enough, publish it. So I am gonna have a go. Oh, and we also have on the page before, we also have this lovely lovely kind of color chart here, which is kind of fabulous. Like, as much as I'm ragging on, you know, the simplicity of the pattern and the like crazy sizing, this chart is gorgeous. You can actually see real close up that it's been done by hand. Like, each one of these dots is paint or maybe like a felt tip or something that somebody has actually gone in and done by hand, which is beautiful. Like, you don't see that anymore in books. And this is a different pattern, but you can see similarly there for that design, that intarsia. Somebody's literally painstakingly done those and filled it in by hand, which I think is gorgeous. But also you can really see the limited sizes there. Like, there's literally 2 stitches difference between the small, medium, and then another 2 stitches and it's the large. Like, wow. In the 80s, people were only skinny, like, obviously. So yeah, I am gonna have a go at knitting this this nutty 80s pattern. I only have mohair. I have a bunch of vintage mohair that one of my mum's friends kindly gave to me. She runs a wool shop and she came into possession of a bunch of, I mean, very fittingly, I think this is 80s mohair. So it's kind of perfect to be knitting the 80s pattern with 80s mohair. So I'm gonna do something slightly different. I'm gonna do like a mix of all of these blues and purples that I have for like the blue background. I'm thinking, because I don't really have enough of any one colour to do a solid for the whole front panel. And then I have this lovely yellow mohair, which I hope is enough for the stars in the background. That would be very cute. I even have a little scrap of red somewhere to do the hearts. And I have just what I hope is enough black double knitting to do the body and the collar, and then I think I'm gonna do the sleeves in the blue mohair as well. So I'm slightly changing it up. It's gonna look very different, but loving the idea of doing the 80s pattern and the 80s mohair. Yeah, so I have cast on so far. They want to use 4.5mm needles going on to 5.5 for the base, which perfectly matches this mohair as well and the tension needed for this. It looks kind of tiny. Like, considering this is supposed to be a kind of oversized, kind of chunky jumper, it's looking super small, but let's see. I'm just gonna film my progress and make a little vlog about the making of this jumper, and I will keep you updated about how it goes. Shout out to Betty Barnden, shout out to Matisse for this this incredible inspiration for this pattern, and yeah, stay tuned to see how this goes. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. It could be horrific. Fingers crossed. Okay, so it's been about an hour or so. I've just been making myself a coffee, watching Housewives, and I've completed the rib. So they just said to do 14 rows of rib. It didn't give like an exact measurement, so I've just done that. And I've kind of been changing out the colours every couple of rows to kind of blend them. I think the mohair kind of helps blend things because obviously it's super hairy, so it kind of gives everything a very like wishy-washy, blended together, kind of enmeshed vibe. So that's very helpful when you're kind of trying to smush together more than one colour. But yeah, that's looking kind of cute so far. I remembered that I haven't done colour work like intarsia or jacquard in maybe 10 years. I hardly ever do colour work. So yeah, I realised, you know, I'm probably going to have to teach myself again and kind of get used to the feel of it, but I think we'll be fine. So all I need to do now for the next part is change to the 5.5mm needles and just start working in stocking stitch for a few rows until the colour work chart starts. So I guess I'll meet you then and update you on how I'm getting to grips with colour work after a decade. Okay. So I'm a couple of rows into the colour work. You can see the start of the cut out figure's legs here, and I just did like the very first stitch of one of the gold stars. It's going okay. I feel like colour work is like riding a bike, and I've kind of remembered how to do it. I forgot how annoying it is when like everything gets tangled up and you have to like keep the floats going, but we're okay. We're doing okay. It's all good. We are a few hours in. I have completed the colour work all the way up to the end of the first 2 stars here. It's looking really cute so far. Yeah, I'm more into it than I thought I would be. I did mess up the stars slightly, like I don't think you can tell, but I got some of the rows mixed up because the pattern doesn't distinguish between wrong side rows and right side rows. It just literally gives you the grid and you have to work it out for yourself. So obviously I got a little bit absent-minded and sidetracked and lost track of the rows, so there might be a couple of bits that aren't completely accurate, but I think they look great. I think they look like stars. I'm not worried. I'm gonna do some wrist stretches, I'm gonna loosen up my hands a little bit, and I'm just gonna carry on for the afternoon. So here is my progress from the end of day number 1. I've finished off the legs now, and I've just started sort of the hand, like the tip of one of the arms. I've got the 2 stars. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks great. I like how the blues and the purples are kind of mixing together to create the background. I think it's looking fun. I'm like surprised by how much I've enjoyed the colour work. Even the back is like kind of neat. I've tried to keep, you know, all of the floats kind of tucked in every few stitches so that I don't get them caught on anything. But yeah, ready to do some more tomorrow. Hello again. It's the morning of day 2. I've just finished up to the point where I need to start shaping for the armholes, and yeah, we have like thighs, ass, half an arm. It's got the thickest, juiciest ass I've ever seen. But yeah, the pattern literally just says shape the armholes. Which I find hilarious. There's like no instructions on how to decrease, no instructions on like how many things you need to do. Obviously it's sort of shaped into the pattern grid, like the graph, but there's nothing else other than that. You're just completely on your own. So I'm just gonna have a go at like decreasing how I would normally decrease an armhole with like knit 2 together or slip 1, knit 1, pass slip stitch over, depending on the side, so you get the right shaping. And yeah, let's see how that goes. I have no idea. I mean, it can't go that wrong, right? They clearly don't care how it turns out. They're just like, it's up to you how you want this armhole to look. So yeah, I'll have a go. So I've started to decrease the armholes. I've kind of cast off 4 here, and then I'm just decreasing 2 stitches into the body. And as you can see, this is literally all I have to go off. Like when they say shape the armhole, you just kind of have to follow the stitches on the graph. So yeah, I think it's fine. At least I'm kind of an experienced knitter. I think a beginner would kind of be like, what the heck? What do you mean just shape an armhole? But with a bit of experience, it's okay. Yeah. Just checking in to show you that the armhole shaping is done, as far as I can tell. I think that's what I'm supposed to do according to the graph. Just decrease 4 times, I think. So I think we're good. If not, we're just gonna wing it. It's fine. So it's 3 p.m. on our second day, and I have officially hit neck shaping territory. So I finished the intarsia for the figure and all the stars. There's no more kind of pattern to work once we get into neck shaping. And it's looking really good. The back's a little bit of a mess, but I managed to keep the floats like kind of clean, like as clean as I could. But yeah, I'm sure it'll look a little bit better after a block when it's like flattened out a little bit and they're not sort of going all over the place. But yeah, I love it so far. Wish me luck with the neck, because once again the instructions are a little bit bare bones, but we shall see. If all goes wrong, I can just follow the chart like I did with the armholes, and that went okay, so fingers crossed. So I'm just checking the instructions for shaping the front neck, and they're actually okay. Like, this is fine. I feel like I understand this. I still can't get over like the 3 sizes. It just looks so alien to me when I'm so used to seeing sizes that have like 8 or 9 patterns that have 8 or 9 sizes. But yeah, it just says like generally decrease. It doesn't give you like any information as to what type of decrease or where. Just decrease 1 stitch at the neck. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna do that. We shall see. I'll probably do what I did with the sleeves, with the armholes, and just do like a knit 2 together and a slip one, knit one, pass slip stitch over on the other side. So yeah, I'm going to give that a go and I'll update you once I've done the first side. So the first side of the neck is now done. I've put the middle stitches on a little thread at the front. I was actually a little bit naughty and didn't follow the instructions completely. It said to decrease over 4 rows, so like decreasing every row for 4 rows, whereas I decreased every second row because I just prefer how that looks rather than having like the really steep increase like they have here. I just wanted something a little bit more gentle, but that's just me. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I think it looks nice. And I'm gonna do the other side. The front panel's done. Yeah, it's about 4 o'clock on the second day, so I just finished up the neck shaping. So it did take me most of today and like nearly all of yesterday. Obviously I took some breaks, I slept in between, but yeah, that's like nearly 2 days of work. I'm really loving it so far. It's a little bit more oversized than I thought it would be. It's definitely going to be like bum cover length, which is fine. It's just going to be like an oversized kind of winter jumper. And I'm loving the pattern. Here's the back. The improvised neck came out totally fine. But yeah, definitely if you were a beginner, that pattern was like super confusing. There's like no information. So you kind of have to be experienced to tackle such a limited pattern. But yeah, now I just need to do the sleeves and the back, which are both plain. And then I was going to do the neck trim just in black to match the figure as like a little contrast. So yeah, I will speed through those and I'll let you know when I am done. What I am going to do before I start any sleeves or any back panels is give our front panel a block. So I've prepared some nice like lukewarm water with a dash of detergent and I'm just gonna squidge it all in there. So blocking helps to do lots of things. It helps to keep stitches in shape, helps to keep the shape of the garment, stop it from shrinking, pilling so much, growing so much with gravity. And it just helps the yarn like feel soft and, you know, fluffy on the skin. Yeah, if you're not blocking your knits, definitely give it a go. And I'm really keen, normally I would block a whole garment before you know, blocking individual panels, but I'm really keen to just see how the pattern comes out in this one. So I'm just gonna, you know, get really excited and get ahead of myself and block the panel on its own. Okay, I'm gonna leave this to soak for like 5-10 minutes and then come back and wring it out. Hello babes, it's the afternoon of day number 4 of making this Matisse jumper, and I'm nearly done with the back panel. I started it sort of yesterday. I was just knitting outside because it was nice weather here, which was lovely, and I was just sort of working online like in work calls today, just kind of knitting while I was working, so I managed to like get quite a lot done, but obviously I didn't want to film the whole thing because it's just rows and rows of stocking stitch. There's nothing interesting like colour work like the front. So yeah, I mean the colour's looking great. I've just started shaping the armhole. I think I'll probably be able to get the neck sort of shaped and cast off like while I'm watching TV tonight, hopefully. So yeah, happy with that so far, and also exciting. The front panel is dry and finished blocking. So we have a finished piece. We have like a full idea of how it's gonna look when it's dry. It's not as oversized as I thought it would be. It feels like it's gonna fit like fairly true to size. It was looking like way more wide before I blocked it, but that's fine. I'm sure like everything will settle down once I've worn it. And the colour work is so much nicer and clearer now that it's like flat and settled down, which, you know, a blocking always helps everything. And yeah, the back is just nicer, like all the floats are laying more flat now. So yeah, it's really good to just get a proper idea of what it's gonna look like. So yeah, really happy with the last couple of days progress. I think I'll probably start on the sleeves over the weekend, depending on what I want to do and if I have time. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Let's see if I can crack this thing in like a week. That would be great. If I can do it in 7 days, but no guarantees. Okay, I've now finished both of the sleeves. And yeah, they came out fine despite the pattern being sort of bare bones. So I'm now ready to put together the whole jumper. What I need to do is sort of seam together the shoulders, it says, and then it actually gives very detailed instructions for picking up stitches along the neck, which I found kind of funny because everything else has been like bare minimum explanation, but it actually gives numbers of stitches to pick up along each side of the neck. So should be pretty easy. And then we have to knit 14 rows of rib for the neck, and then sort of sew it down to create a folded neck once we're finished. But I think what I might do is just try and knit the rib closed rather than manually sewing it, if that makes sense. And I think what I'll do is do a black neck trim to match the figure, so that one, it's like a nice contrast, and two, it means you don't have that sort of mohair fluff around your neck, like it'll be a little bit more comfortable to wear. So yeah, I'm gonna make a start on that now, do some seaming and try to chop some of these ends off. So yeah, here's the details for the neckband, which I just find amazing, like how detailed it is compared to literally everything else. Like just the neckband has all of these instructions and the exact amount of numbers of stitches to pick up, and you know, the sleeves and the front, you're literally left to fend for yourself. Okay, I'm trying to seam together the shoulder right now with this crochet hook, and it's impossible to see which loop is which and where the loops are. So these might be some interesting seams. I should have foreseen this. Mohair is kind of crazy to work with. But yeah, let's see how that goes. I might have wonky shoulders. Okay, we are nearly done. The neck is done, and it was actually fine. I thought it looked a little bit small, like it's quite tight and high, which is fine. I tried it on and it does just fit. So I made sure I cast it off like really loosely. But I think it'll be fine. I might just give it like a little stretch when I'm blocking it. And yeah, the sleeves are done. So what I'm gonna do this morning is seam everything together, and then we'll be finished. How exciting. I can't believe I thought this would take me a week. It's taken me like over a month. So you'll be very proud of me for how organised I'm being. I've learnt the lessons from the last little bit of seaming mohair that I did on the shoulders, and I took steps to prevent that from happening again. So I've added in little stitch markers, like the pin ones, just as guides, so that I don't lose my place as I'm seaming on the sleeve. And hopefully that will make things a little bit easier for me to keep track of. Okay, my loves, we are so nearly done. I'm like 99% done. Finished off that seaming yesterday, and I think using the pins to sort of help me out with the seaming and sort of guide me was really helpful, because the mohair is a little bit of a nightmare to see where you're going. So that was great, but I think it turned out really nicely. All the seams look nice and even. You can't really tell where I've messed up, so that's fine. And yeah, all I need to do now is sew in the ends, / probably snip them off because I can't be bothered. And I'm gonna give the jumper a bit of a block today, and it's nice and sunny outside, so it should dry nice and quickly. I will show you that process now. So I've just got some nice lukewarm water here with some detergent mixed in, and all we need to do is just dunk our jumper right in there. give it a rinse, you know, leave it for like 10-15 minutes. And then we just need to give it a nice blocking outside on the dryer. Okay, so I discovered the full sweater with the sleeves added is slightly too big for my dryer, so I have it sort of blocking on top of each other, which is, that's fine. It'll be fine. And yeah, now we just need to wait for it to fully dry. So the jumper dried off yesterday. It was lovely and sunny, so it dried off in a couple of hours, which is amazing. And all I need to do now is snip off all of the sort of tied off ends, sew in any loose ends, and I just realised I need to duplicate stitch the little heart on the figure here as a final touch, which is so sweet. Like, what a perfect ending. So I'm just gonna do that now. So guys, I know snipping off ends instead of sewing them in is a little bit controversial, but if you've been following me for a while, you know I don't really have time or care to sew in all my ends. I subscribe to the Larka Bagger book of just tie knots. And as she says, just tie knots and snip them off. Like, who has the time, who has the patience to be sewing in 500 ends when you've been changing colours every couple of rows? So yeah, I've tied some secure knots, and especially because I've now blocked this, it's, you know, it's slightly felted. I don't think these are going to come undone anytime soon. Like, they are pretty secure, and even if they do come undone, it's not the end of the world if I have to like sew in a stitch or two. So yeah, everything is getting snipped off, and I will save all of my ends for other projects. I'll stitch them into other things. There we go. Anything that's like, you know, attached to colour work, like here, I will be sewing that in because I don't want that to come undone and I haven't tied it off to anything. So, you know, any loose ends on like the neck and on colour work will be getting sewn in, but everything else is just getting the snip. Sorry if this offends you. So all of our ends are nicely sewn in or snipped off, looking nice and neat. We have a lovely big pile of mohair ends all snipped off, and I'm ready to try this bad boy on, baby. So our very, very last step on the jumper before I can try it on is we're just duplicating the little heart, duplicate stitching the little heart onto the figure. I've got a darning needle and a doubled up thread of mohair here. I just doubled it up because I just want it to stand out against the black. And yeah, I am not a duplicate stitch pro. And as you can imagine, the pattern gives absolutely no instructions on how to do it either. It just says like duplicate stitch in the heart. So we're really none the wiser. You just kind of got to guess. But that's fine. And I think this is just going to be the cutest little finishing touch to this jumper. I love that we get to give this little dude a heart when we wear him. And I figured mohair covers a lot of sins, so if the stitching is slightly messy, we can just squish it until it looks right, you know? Squish all the fibres until they look okay. There we go. Yeah, I'm just gonna like slightly pull everything until it's the shape that I want. And there's our little heart for our guy. I love it. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's finished, ta-da! I am obsessed with how this turned out. I'm so happy. It's so fun, right? I mean, come on. The colour work turned out really gorgeous. the stars in the yellow just contrasting against the blue is just beautiful. I'm really glad I chose to do the neck in black as well. I think it's a nice contrast. I think it is much more comfortable to wear this way. It's also like 30 degrees here today, guys, so respect my like dedication in wearing and modeling mohair. But I couldn't resist. I probably won't wear this for like another few months outside the house. But yeah, in terms of silhouette, it's like very 80s. I feel like we don't see silhouettes like this in contemporary patterns. The way that the torso is like elongated past the bum, and then you get this sort of broad power shoulder, like an 80s power shoulder, and like a higher neck. Most modern day patterns would be like cropped or come up to like jeans length, you know, and this is it's about 67 centimeters long by the time you've blocked it, so it does feel on the longer side. Like I don't know if you get lengths like that anymore, if that makes sense. Most of the time it's like 55 or 62, so I kind of like it though. I know it looks crazy because I'm like wearing shorts because it's a hot day, but paired with some jeans, I think this is going to be really cute. Or maybe like a maxi skirt or something. And the shoulder as well, like you'd either get, you know, an oversized sort of drop shoulder that would come down to here or something, or a much more sort of set in curved sleeve. It's unusual to see, you know, this sort of sticky out power shoulder with a set in sleeve, but I love it. And yeah, the little heart is just the cherry on top. I just think it's adorable. In terms of following the pattern, yeah, it was interesting. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I am an experienced knitter, because a beginner would be completely lost with a pattern like that. You know, just the way that they sort of leave so many of the key decisions up to you. Like the sort of decreases, where and how, and all of that. When designers just sort of leave those decisions up to you, it can be, you know, it can be nice, because then you get a hand in sort of what you want to do and how you want the pattern to look. And as an experienced knitter, I was able to say, oh, I know this decrease will work, or I know this neck will look good. But, you know, if you're not experienced in those sorts of things, you don't know how that's going to go. So it was interesting. I feel like most patterns these days, like contemporary patterns, the designer will give you exact details on everything you need to do and when and how. There'll be like numbers for everything. And yeah, just see such a bare bones pattern, it was freeing, but it was also unusual, and there was times when I was just like, oh, but can you just tell me how we're increasing for the sleeve or something? And yeah, as far as the sizing goes as well, I think that's unforgivable. I think it's ridiculous to have about 8 centimeters difference between your 3 sizes. That is literally nothing. Like that's, you know, it's not even like small, medium, large, like I was saying. It's maybe small, it's big, small, medium. I don't even know, like, what are these sizes? I know that plus size people didn't just come into existence in like the last 10 years. Like, I don't know how people got away with publishing patterns like this in the 80s. Like, people should have done better, but hey, I don't know, people say it's like, it was a different time, but like, it wasn't. People could have done a lot better. You know, I think if you're an experienced knitter, it would be easy to adapt this pattern to a larger size. You could definitely sort of take the colourwork chart and add in extra stitches and sort of adapt it in that way, but why should you have to? You know, there should be the option there for everybody. But yeah, this pattern was really fun. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Using the sort of 80s mohair yarn as well was a really fun experience. It really sort of made me feel like I was getting the full 80s like authentic experience. And mohair is just, you know, it's so loud, bold, bright, textured, fluffy in your face that it just feels kind of perfect for an 80s pattern. and I can't wait for this sort of statement piece to be part of my wardrobe and how I'm gonna wear it over the winter. I'm already thinking of outfits. Yeah, thank you for following along with my journey. If you made it this far into the video, you better subscribe, you better like, you better comment, tell me what you think, tell me if you've ever tried any old patterns or what you think of this pattern. Give me a follow on Instagram as well for all of my updates over there at theknitedit. And yeah, I will see you very soon for some more knitting content.